Alright, what's up guys? I was meant to record this trade, but for some reason I had forgotten. So let me just break it down for you real quick. Daily, we saw that we were bullish on the daily. 4 hour, we did start. I did anticipate some type of retracement back, especially after CPI. I believe it was CPI that happened today. Hourly, let's do that. Reset. Hourly, price came during before market opens or pre-market. Price came, swept up all these highs. This was still during Asia and London session. Price was just bullish. So I was anticipating some type of retracement, but I wasn't going to jump in blindly. We saw this sweep of liquidity during 2 o'clock, so around market open, 15 minute. This was exactly on market open. Market open came, swept this high over here, and then I patiently waited on the 5 minute for this. This was an order block on the 5 minute and a fair value gap left, which is a high confluence. Also equilibrium, which I don't have currently marked up, but earlier I did. We were inside the equilibrium range, so I waited for price to come back into this area. Price came back, jumped on the 1 minute. I saw this earlier, 5 minute. Oh no, it wasn't on 5. Yeah, on the 1 minute, there was this 1 minute break of structure right here, so I could have entered here, but I ended up seeing this top fair value gap up here, so I wait for price to come, tap into it, and give me a strong bullish reaction. Price did that. Price came. Oh wait, no, it wasn't this. It was this sweep of liquidity I saw earlier. I got confused. This candle, I could have entered, but I waited a bit. I saw this fair value gap form. Price tapped into it, closed with a strong bearish momentum, so I entered off the close of this candle, so it was basically the open of this candle. Price did end up coming back into the fair value gap before showing bearish momentum, respecting this other 1 minute fair value gap that was created with this bearish momentum, and then I just held price all the way down. I risked my 1 to 3 as I want to start doing as usual again, just so my risk to reward and my profits are better. Price came to the 50%. I closed 50% of my trade, and then I let price run, but price started retracing, so I moved my stops down to this high, and then I saw price came into this fair value gap, pushed down, respecting this other 1 minute fair value gap. And after this candle closed, I moved my stops to this high, which ended up tapping me out on this candle. The profits I did make was second paper trading history. That's not right. Account history. Here it is. My first TP was the 50% where I made the 959 USD, and then when I closed on this trade, the rest of my position was $407.50. Overall, $1,376, which is a good start. Honestly, with how CPI was at 130, I was cautious of trading, but it was like an hour and a half later, and this setup was just too clean for me not to take it. Even though it didn't come to my full TP, I'm still happy with how I managed to trade, and yeah, I will be updating my trading journal with this trade, so I'll definitely add it to this video. Look, price will probably come tap me into break even, which I was clever enough to take my profits down here, allowing me to basically get more profits. I did manage to record the trade, but I wasn't talking, so I'll probably upload it through my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and it's just short form content, and it'll just be a sped up version of it. Anyway, I'm off to updating my trading journal, and yeah. Alright, I forgot to show the date and time earlier. The date is Tuesday, 15th July, and the time is basically 5 o'clock. Let's get into the trade recap and psychology. I was trading NQ, bias was bearish, even though higher time frame was bullish. I did anticipate a bit of a retracement back as bearish. Confluence was clean structure, clean candle structure, liquidity sweep, multi-timeframe backing, breakup structure, order block, fair value gap. Date was the 15th. Outcome was a win. I made a total of $1,367. Risk to reward was 1 to 3. It was New York AM, and the setup grade was A+. This is how the trade looked. I entered here of this breaker structure and fair value gap tapping. Over here was my 50% break even, took 50%, and then I moved my stop loss to this high. I'll explain later why, but this is where I hit break even and took the rest of my position out. Alright, psychology during the trade and trade recap, 9 out of 10 for today. Today was CPI release day, which I usually avoid, but the data came out at 1:30, and I approached the charts afterwards with a clear mind and a solid plan. When I got to the markets, I noticed clean setup forming on the 1 hour chart. I could see the market was bullish, but the CPI impulse looked like a potential exhaustion move, and I anticipate a reversal. Sorry. At 2:30 New York Open, price swept the buy side liquidity, then reversed lower, a textbook manipulation. As let me show you the sweep I was talking about. This is a sweep. This was CPI. This whole move over here was CPI, and then it took out all previous session highs and lows. It took out all previous session highs, and then it created a reversal. I zoomed in on the 5 minute and noticed a bullish overlap between an order block and a fair value gap, both resting deep into equilibrium. That area became my target zone for the lower time frame entries, so basically the 1 minute entry. This was the fair value gap and order block on the 5 minute. This whole move is an order block, and then this right here is the fair value gap on the 5 minute. It won't make sense because it's the 1 minute time frame. But on the 5 minute, this whole move was all blue candles, and then there was a fair value gap between here. I waited patiently on the 1 minute, didn't force it. Price retraced back into the order block and fair value gap zone, then broke structure to the downside. I could have entered right here, stops above the high that tapped the 5 minute zone, and I would have banked 100% of the move and hitting the full 1 to 3 risk to reward. But I waited for confirmation. I don't know why, but I was hesitant. I could have entered over here. Price came, tapped into here, and then it broke this structure right here. I could have entered off this candle. My stops at this high, targeting a 1 to 3, and I would have hit it. About 7 minutes later, a 1 minute bearish fair value gap formed. Price tapped into it, then closed very strongly and bearish. Exactly the kind of confirmation I've been training for. I entered on that candle, but my first entry had messed up on risk, so I entered $50 on risk instead of 1,000. So I did a second position, adding up the total risk to 1,200. So I was risking 200 more than I wanted. Price took its time pushing down, but after 25 minutes, it hit 1.5 R. So it's 50% of my trade, where I'll take 50% of my position out, which was the $959.50. And then I moved SL to break even. Let me walk you through that before we continue. So I entered here of this breakout structure right here, and it tapped into this fair value gap on the 1 minute, closed strongly bearish, entered on this candle. So it would have been this the next candle. Price did retrace back into this fair value gap again and then dumped. So this was where I took my break even. When this candle touched this green line, I took half my position out, so it's 50% of my trade. And then I moved my stops were up here, and I moved it to the over here where I entered, so I was in risk free. Later, price tapped into another bearish fair value gap that formed along the move, gave a good reaction, and since I'd been in the trade a while, I adjusted my stop loss just above the high before the fair value gap. 2 minutes later, I was out on break even on the runner. I was waiting to hit the 1 to 3R. That brought my total win to $1,367, TP1 being $959, and break-even close being the $407. I'm proud of this trade. Wait a second, let me show you where I took my partials. So it was this fair value gap right here, and it was this candle right here that gave a great reaction to the downside, leaving a massive wick. So I moved my stop loss from here to this high, and then 2 minutes later, you could see the two candles, price took me out. I am proud of this trade, not just because of profits, but because of the execution. I didn't rush. I waited for structure plus zone plus confirmation. I adjusted risk mid-trade responsibly. I didn't let CPI or market noise influence me emotionally. Why it's 9 out of 10 and not 10 out of 10? Because I still hesitated on the first possible entry after breakout structure. I messed up on the initial risk placement, but I adapted fast, stayed calm, and traded systematically. This is the kind of trading I've been working towards. Overall, very happy. If you got any questions about this trade or any questions in general, put in the comments. I will be putting the live recording of the trade itself. I did record it for short form content, so it'll be just a sped up version of the trade itself. It will be on TikTok, Instagram, and the YouTube Shorts. So if you want to see that, just head over to there and you'll be able to see it. Thank you for watching. Peace.